SpaceX's success so far has been nothing short of remarkable, with even the Russian space director commending the actions of Elon Musk and SpaceX at the same time. After contracting SpaceX to launch BlueWalker 3, its first significant prototype, AST Space Mobile has chosen SpaceX to launch its first operational BlueBird satellite. As we all know, SpaceX and Elon Musk rarely manage to meet their deadlines. It's practically become a running joke, and like most things, this endeavor has been beset by setbacks. So what's the big deal? What are the advantages? And so on, you'll see later in the video. Space-based cell towers and BlueBird satellites are launched into orbit by AST Space Mobile. It has chosen SpaceX as its launch partner and will pay at least $22.75 million for the launch, which includes the cost of adjusting its previous BlueWalker 3 launch contract. SpaceX will be the principal launch provider for the 243 constellation satellites as part of this agreement. AST Space Mobile would pay SpaceX at least $22.75 million to adjust its impending BlueWalker 3 launch contract, cover an initial payment for the launch of BlueBird 1, and pay the reservation fee for a second BlueBird 2 launch, according to an SEC filing filed around the same time. Although the choice only represents 3 likely launch service agreements, it positions SpaceX as the company's principal launch supplier for a constellation of up to 243 big communication satellites. But as you'll see later, but more on that later in the video, we'll tell you a little more about AST Space Mobile and their BlueWalker 3 vehicle. For those interested in space technology, ASTS is one of the most intriguing plays, with a market value of $1.2 billion US. AST Space Mobile is one of the hottest companies on the market today. AST is a Texas-based tech startup that was launched in mid-2017 with the purpose of bringing satellite internet to all mobile devices without requiring existing devices to be modified. AST Space Mobile is attempting to create a one-of-a-kind broadband and cell phone network that is exclusively based in space. The major objective is to close any 5G gaps throughout the world, making it the world's most comprehensive network. Unfortunately for those who are interested, the business has yet to reveal how its technology intends to achieve this aim. However, we understand that AST staff have been hard at work since the business filed for its 1000th patent sometime last year. These patents cover a wide range of space communication markets, including satellite architecture, energy efficiency, and deployment to name a few. The benefits of having satellite internet delivered directly to your mobile devices are immeasurable. Customers will be able to keep their Wi-Fi connection wherever they travel, whether on land, water, or even in air. Only 110 of the planned 168 satellites are projected to provide global coverage, with the remaining 168 satellites allowing 5G speeds. While picking SpaceX, the most cost-effective and readily available launch provider on the planet, is unsurprising. The satellites SpaceX will launch for AST are anything but typical. AST Space Mobile has entirely discarded the somewhat frequent satellite's design stereotype of a central bus with 2 solar array wings, driven partly by the technological needs of the company's objective of directly linking unmodified mobile phones to the internet through satellites in orbit. Rather, AST's BlueBird satellites will launch with their antenna folded like a big origami cocoon around their bus. Once in orbit, the satellite's antenna will gently unfold and eventually return to its original configuration, a big flat surface, thanks to a clever extension of standard solar array deployment methods. For a variety of reasons, AST Space Mobile recently opted to reduce the overall area of its BlueBird satellites by half, but the new design will still have a massive antenna with a surface area of around 450 square meters, 4,800 square feet. Only the United States' secret Orion espionage satellites are expected to be larger than the antenna AST proposes to place in orbit. Because of those large antennas, AST claims that its BlueBirds would potentially be able to reach over 700 million disconnected people. However, it's unclear how many users the constellation or a single satellite will be able to serve at the same time. Furthermore, because the satellites are in low Earth orbit (LEO), an unbroken link will be achievable only when a series of satellites are launched into nearly the same orbital plane. Until then, the service will be spotty, which will be great for emergency communications in rural regions, but difficult to utilize for anything else. BlueWalker 3, a prototype satellite, will show off AST Space Mobile's unusual satellite architecture, while also hopefully demonstrating that it can link hundreds of thousands of unmodified phones to the internet, as if it were a regular cell tower. AST claims to have successfully proven the space-to-ground link by launching a CubeSat that is essentially a mobile phone, and then utilizing that orbital phone to connect to a simulated cell tower satellite on Earth. BlueWalker 3 will cost more than $70 million and weigh approximately 1.5 tons, 3,300 pounds. It will aim to deploy a smaller but still representative 65 square meter, 693 square foot origami-like antenna. AST Space Mobile hasn't finalized a launch date and is currently working on the satellite prototype. Deal for several launches. AST Space Mobile, one of many space businesses that went public via a SPAC merger last year, signed a multi-launch deal with SpaceX on March 8th. The agreement covers secret technical launch revisions for BlueWalker 3, as well as a milestone payment for the first operational BlueBird satellite, which is set to launch in the 4th quarter of this year, and a reservation for a second BlueBird mission. AST Space Mobile claims that it will be able to deliver the first services with 20 satellites that will be deployed in the first 2 or 3 quarters of 2023. With 110 satellites, we hope to be able to provide complete worldwide broadband coverage, but with only 20 satellites, we expect to be able to provide various commercial services in the equatorial area, a region with 49 nations and 1.6 billion people, was Newski added. Assuming the first phase is completed on time, AST Space Mobile aims to launch the next 90 satellites during the last quarter of 2023 and continuing throughout 2024. Wisniewski said the business aims to assemble up to 6 BlueBird satellites each month from its Texas manufacturing facilities when it is fully operational. However, since you've made it this far into the film, we'd like to share some recent new SpaceX collaborations. OneWeb's broadband satellites will be launched by SpaceX, replacing Russian Soyuz rockets. OneWeb's broadband satellites have found a new home. To date, OneWeb has launched 428 broadband satellites, all of which were launched by the French company Arianespace, using Russian-built Soyuz rockets. However, the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine has rendered that scenario untenable. For example, Russia's federal space agency, Roscosmos, demanded that OneWeb guarantee the spacecraft wouldn't be used for military purposes, and that the United Kingdom divest itself from the London-based company before allowing a Soyuz topped with 36 OneWeb satellites to launch from the Russian-run Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan earlier this month. On March 3rd, only days before launching 36 OneWeb satellites into orbit, Roscosmos said it would not launch any further satellites for OneWeb unless the company provided assurances that its network would not be used for military reasons, and the UK surrendered its minority investment in the company. The demand was made in reaction to sanctions imposed by the United Kingdom on Russia after the nation invaded Ukraine on February 24th. The UK government stated at the time that it would not sell its OneWeb investment. 428 OneWeb satellites have been launched into low Earth orbit by Russian Soyuz rockets. The first generation OneWeb network will eventually have 648 satellites. In late 2020, the UK government assisted in the purchase of OneWeb from bankruptcy. These demands were not satisfied, and the satellite-laden Soyuz wheeled off the Baikonur launch pad just before its scheduled takeoff. OneWeb, on the other hand, did not remain in rocket limbo for long. The company announced today, March 21st, that it has agreed to launch its spacecraft into low Earth orbit (LEO) with SpaceX, a satellite internet rival. OneWeb CEO Neil Masterson stated in a statement today, "We applaud SpaceX for their support, which underscores our shared vision for the infinite promise of space. We're on target to finish building up our fleet of satellites and offer robust, fast, and secure communication throughout the world with these launch plans in place." The specifics of the SpaceX deal were not disclosed, but Masterson's comment indicated that SpaceX would likely send the remaining 220 satellites to LEO using its workhorse Falcon 9 rocket. OneWeb spokespeople announced in a statement today that the first launch with SpaceX is scheduled for later this year. If you have made it this far in the video and want to see more, check out our video on Elon Musk's just revealed new Lightspeed engine 2022. So, what are your thoughts on OneWeb and the AST Space Mobile? Do you think they would be able to meet deadlines? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.